Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. You'd be surprised at how literate some of our listeners are. Don't be fooled by some of the callers, because the callers make up about 1% of the total audience, and most people never call in or can't get through or are not as persistent. But believe me, they're making good use of their time, and among the things they're doing, they are reading. And they're reading some interesting stuff, and then they send it along to us. And several of you are in the habit of reading columns by that man-hater, Maureen Dowd of the New York Times. Now, I've told you about the New York Times. The New York Times has learned the hard way from the Tom Leykis Show, and I do believe it's from here, that all the news that's fit to print is not what the New York Times thought it was. Because for years and years, the New York Times made its reputation with things like the Pentagon Papers and Watergate and the resignation of Richard Nixon and the Challenger disaster and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff they write about. The United Nations, there they are in New York covering the United Nations. And they, in their very snooty, elitist way, said they have all the news that's fit to print. These stories we talk about in the Tom Leykis Show are the kinds of stories that they almost would never print in the New York Times. That's why you needed a Tom Leykis Show. And now increasingly in places like the New York Times and its equally snooty elitist brethren like the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post, we're starting to see stories that look a lot more like the Tom Leykis Show and a lot less like the elitist Northeast media. That includes the op-ed pieces, which used to be these think pieces about, whether we should be in the United Nations or whether we should be invading Afghanistan or things like that. Now they write about stuff you'd hear about on the Tom Leykis Show more often than ever. And many of you have seen some of these columns and have been sending them in. Here is the latest man-hating op-ed piece by Maureen Dowd of the New York Times. It says here, men are always telling me not to generalize about them. But a startling new study shows that science is backing me up here. Research published last week in the journal Nature reveals that women are genetically more complex than scientists ever imagined, while men remain the simple creatures they appear. By the way, so far, there's nothing I really disagree with here. I've told you that women try to figure us out and are always ascribing other motives to simple and obvious behavior. We're hungry, we're horny, we're thirsty, get lost. Pretty much sums up the way guys feel about women. That's pretty much all we need from you, dear. That's it. And women are always trying to figure out what we mean. What does it mean when we don't call? When we don't call, it means we don't like you. But they try to figure it out. They discuss. They compare and contrast. They meet with the other cackling hens, and they try to decide what it all means. Reality is, it's not that complicated. I've said that on this program many times. Maureen Dowd's op-ed piece continues. Says here, alas, said one of the authors of the study, the Duke University genome expert Huntington Willard. Genetically speaking, if you've met one man, you've met them all. We are, I hate to say it, predictable. You can't say that about women. By the way, predictable's good. That is why women glom onto us and ultimately want to have relationships with us. Because they are scatterbrained, incapable of logical thinking. They keep changing their minds. They want the option of showing up to work when they feel like it or not working at all, taking time off, going in, whatever. They want somebody who is going to be willing to be responsible and dependable and reliable. That's what they want. That's why they want men. You see. Nothing wrong with predictable. This genome expert continues. He says, you can't say that about women. Men and women are farther apart than we ever knew. It's not Mars or Venus. It's Mars or Venus, Pluto, Jupiter, and who knows what other planets. Women are not only more different from men than we knew, women are more different from each other than we knew. Creatures of infinite variety, as Shakespeare wrote. We poor men only have 45 chromosomes to do our work because our 46th is the pathetic Y that only a few genes which operate below the waist and above the knees. Dr. Willard observed. In contrast, we now know that women have the full 46 chromosomes that they're getting work from. And the 46th is a second X that is working at levels greater than we knew. if they're working at these great levels, you certainly can't see by the results that you get from women. E! Channel, Style Channel, Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood, The Insider, People Magazine, Us Weekly. That is the extent of the interest level of most women. With all those chromosomes working so hard, that is what you get. And every woman who's into Hello Kitty, okay? Yeah, come on, let's start with that. Dr. Willard and his co-author, Laura Carell, a molecular biologist at the Pennsylvania State University College of Medicine, think that their discovery may help explain why the behavior and traits of men and women are so different. They may be hardwired to the brain in addition to being hormonal or cultural. So, is Lawrence Summers, the president of Harvard University, right after all? Only time will tell, Dr. Willard laughs. Isn't it amazing how they try to tell us that men and women are the same? Men and women are equal. We're equal. We're the same. We're equal. But anytime there's a report that says that women might be more complicated, more complex, more this, more that, then it's perfectly okay to say we're different. Fascinating. Says here the researchers learned that a whopping 15%, that's 200 to 300 of the genes on the second X chromosome in women, thought to be submissive and inert, lolling about on an evolutionary Victorian fainting couch, are active, giving women a significant increase in gene expression over men. As the New York Times science reporter Nicholas Wade, who is writing a book about human evolution and genetics, explained it to me, women are mosaics. One could even say chimeras, in the sense that they are made up of two different kinds of cell, whereas men are pure and uncomplicated, being made of just a single kind of cell throughout. This means that men's generalizations about women are correct, too. Women are inscrutable, changeable, crafty, idiosyncratic, a different species. By the way, none of those things are good. They're not. David Page, a molecular biologist and expert on sex evolution at the Whitehead Institute for Biomedical Research in Cambridge, Massachusetts, said that women's chromosomes have more complexity, which men view as unpredictability. Yeah. Known as Mr. Y, Dr. P calls himself the defender of the rotting Y chromosome. I love men, by the way, who are there, these are all pussy-whipped individuals who go out and talk about why men are inferior. Make a living telling the world that we have inferior chromosomes, or we're inferior mentally, or inferior in some other way. There's a woman wearing the pants in his family, one of those Boston broads with really short hair who bosses him around all the time. And she just gets, all sexually aroused reading all these quotes from him in the newspaper saying how inferior men are. Yes, he's referring to studies showing that the Y chromosome has been shedding genes willy-nilly for millions of years and is now a fraction of the size of its partner, the X chromosome. The Y married up, he notes. The X married down. Ha, ha, ha. Size matters, so some experts have suggested that in 10 million years, or even much sooner, 100,000 years, men could disappear, taking Maxim Magazine, March Madness, and cold pizza in the morning with them. Dr. Page drolly conjures up a picture of the Y chromosome as a slovenly beast sitting in his favorite armchair, surrounded by the litter of old fast food takeout boxes. The Y wants to maintain himself, but doesn't know how, he said. He's falling apart. Like the guy who can't manage to get a doctor's appointment, or can't clean up the house or apartment unless his wife does it. I prefer to think of the Y as persevering and noble, not as the Rodney Dangerfield of the human genome. Dr. Page said the Y, a refuge throughout evolution for any gene that is good for males and or bad for females, has become a mirror, a metaphor, a blank slate in which you can write anything you want to think about males. It has inspired cartoon gene maps that show the belching gene, the inability to remember birthdays and anniversary gene, the fascination with spiders and reptiles gene, the selective hearing loss gene, the inability to express affection on the phone gene. The discovery about women's superior gene expression, says Maureen Dowd, may answer the age-old question about why men have trouble expressing themselves because their genes do. Well, you know what? It just so happens that right alongside this little op-ed piece by Maureen Dowd, once again purporting to tell how men are inferior, a regular theme in her column in the New York Times, here's a story of some complex women. They are, you could say, complex idiosyncratic, a different species, as it said in the Maureen Dowd column. These women would fit the description perfectly. Here's an example of women. Just to give you an idea of what women are really like. You want to know what women are really like? Because we men, we're just so simplistic and predictable, but women are unpredictable. And that's a good thing, right, Maureen? Well, here's an example right here. This story came out practically at the same time as your op-ed piece. Here it is from CNN. On Scott Peterson's first day on death row, I'm not making this up, it's CNN.com. Scott Peterson's first day on death row, 2 women called California's San Quentin State Prison to say they were interested in marrying him, according to prison officials. Prison spokesman Vernil Crittenden said about 3 dozen women called San Quentin with messages of support for the prison's newest bachelor, convicted and sentenced to die for the murder of his pregnant wife, Lacey. Oh, Scott, they're being so unfair. Crittenden told CNN that 2 of them actually indicated to our staff that their purpose for calling was marriage. He added that it is not unusual for inmates to get married while on death row. Peterson, wearing orange prison scrubs and shackles, arrived at the notorious prison about 4 a.m., 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Beneath his jumpsuit, he is wearing a bulletproof vest because of security concerns. It was removed once inside the compound. And then the story goes on. Yes, 2 women want to marry Scott Peterson. That we know of. That we know of. So Maureen Dowd believes women are superior somehow because they're unpredictable, crafty, idiosyncratic. And then we see one of the examples of that. Women calling San Quentin to see if Scott could come to the phone. See if Scott's available. I'd like to do conjugal visits with Scott Peterson. Huh? The fertilizer salesman who clunked his wife in the back of the head with the anchor and set her in a San Francisco bank. Would you like to have a date with him? Oh, dear, you're so idiosyncratic. You're so quirky. Unbelievable. So, again, the man-hating, perfectly okay in the pages of the New York Times, perfectly okay. Ongoing diatribes about how inferior men are, that is all the news that's fit to print according to the New York Times. I'm fed up with it, and frankly, let's face it, if a man didn't found the New York Times, publish the New York Times, and keep the New York Times going for 150 years, Maureen Dowd wouldn't have a place to work. If you think a woman could have done that, good luck to you, sweetheart. No doubt it's a man who hired Maureen Dowd, probably another pussy-whipped individual. Right?
Tom. 1-800-5800-TOM.
I think you're brilliant. I enjoy liking you and I enjoy hating you.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number there on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Yeah, these women that want to marry Scott Peterson or want to marry anybody that's on death row, sounds to me like they're just after a life insurance policy.
I'm not so sure, and I'm not an insurance expert, but I'm not so sure an insurance policy pays off for somebody who's on death row.
Well, I mean, like it's not a suicide.
Well, in a sense it is, because you know what the penalty is in California for killing your wife and kid. It's probably going to be the death penalty. So it's like committing suicide.
I don't know about that.
I find it hard to believe. Thank you, sir. I find that hard to believe. Jill on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Love you. And I agree with your feelings on this lady that writes articles. But I just want to kind of ask you a question. Then you said, well, women need to, not talk about their equal rights, blah, blah, blah. What do you mean by that? Like, which one are you?
Well, again, we're always told that women are equal.
Right. Yeah, our chromosomes might be different, but then again, like black people.
But if we suggest that women would not be capable of joining the fire department or performing in the military or being in the police department, oh, no, you get a lot of crap for that.
Yeah, well, that's
you get a lot of crap for that.
I'm not a chick at all, so I'm just kind of curious. I mean, I believe in, like, equal pay and whatnot to that extent.
No, well, I believe in equal pay if you do an equal, A, do an equal job, and B, if there's a test to take to get the position.
Yeah.
That the standards are the same for you as for me.
Right, right.
Which they frequently are not.
Yeah, no, they're not a lot, but I just was wondering if you were, like, when you were saying, oh, well, the equal rights, are you saying... Well, come on, ladies, shut up about that then, because our chromosomes are...
Women have far more rights and privileges than men do in this society. Far more.
More?
Far more.
You think?
I do.
Huh.
If you met a man at a bar and you asked him, what is your primary goal in life? What do you want to do? And he said to you, I'd like to stay home and raise your kids.
Oh, see, that's fine by me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Most women would not date that guy. Now, maybe you'd marry him. Most women would not date that guy.
I mean, he can't be a deadbeat, but...
well, a lot of housewives are deadbeats, dear. They're at home. They don't work. They raise kids and eat and hang out with their friends during the day.
Yeah, well, you can't consider that a deadbeat if they're doing a good job raising the kids.
Yeah, but see that? You would call a man a deadbeat who does the exact same thing.
No, I wouldn't. He can't be. He could be a good stay-at-home father as long as he's not a deadbeat as well.
Well, what do you mean by a deadbeat?
Well, you know, he can't, like, sit home and raise the kids and, like, drink or not be a participant, like, with the extended family. You know, like, just freeloading and using it as an excuse that he's raising the kids. You know, he's got to be doing a good job at it.
Yeah, but why would you assume that a man couldn't do a good job at that?
Oh, I don't assume it. I think he could do a wonderful job.
But I don't think that most women would have an interest in a man if they met him and he said that that was his goal in life, to be a homemaker.
Shame on them.
Well, but that's the way it is, dear. You see, we don't deal in woulda, coulda, and shoulda on this show.
Yep.
We deal with what is.
Yeah.
And if a man went out tonight to a meat market and met women, and they said, what do you do? And the man said, well, I'm just doing a job for the time being until I meet the right woman. Then I want to settle down and raise her kids. Be a homemaker.
Yeah.
Most women would dump him.
Uh-huh. They wouldn't have to dump him. They wouldn't start.
That's right. And that's my point.
Yeah.
Women have the right to stay home or not stay home, work or not work, have kids, not have kids. They can work hard and make a lot of money. They can marry guys who have money and do absolutely nothing. Men don't have these options.
Right.
Men are sentenced to work until we're dead.
And you know what, though? Men accept that of women, so women should just accept that of men as well.
Well, they should, but you see, they don't.
Gosh. Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
That's right. Exactly. Jill, thank you so much for the call. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. The Tom Leykis Show. It's Joe. Hello.
Tom, how's it going?
I'm okay.
Good. You kind of got me fired up on this one, Tom. The tone of the article, I'm kind of wondering what makes this battle axe broad think that being complex is actually better.
I personally think there are advantages to predictability and stability that you do not have when someone is petulant and idiosyncratic and difficult.
Right.
Like Maureen Dow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was just the whole tone of the article when you were reading it. I was getting pissed off and thinking, what makes her think that being complex is actually better? And I think it proves that, you know, can't understand normal thinking. Logic escapes them.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It's like hold more than one thought.
That's right.
Anyway, Tom, I love your show. Can you take me out Halle Berry style?
Here you go, Joe. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Duke on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hello, Dad.
Hello, son.
Hey, I thought it was pretty ironic that they used a Shakespeare quote, probably the best writer who happens to be a man in, history, to say how women are more expressive than men. I mean, take a Sylvia Plath poem, put it against a Robert Frost, what do you get? Take the best songwriter, John Lennon, Bob Dylan, cross the board.
Yeah, no, it's certainly true.
It doesn't make sense. Hey, I'm a prodigy of yours, Tom. I've been living my life exactly to your rules, and I just started listening to you.
I love that.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, take me out with the bong rip, and, women suck. Later.
Here you go, Duke.
Thank you, Tom.
This is John on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, first-time caller and a short-term listener because I'm calling from Canada.
Yes.
First of all, Tom, I'd like to thank you for bringing some good radio to Canada. Man, it's been driving me crazy, all this CRTC stuff. It restricts us so much, so thank you for that.
Well, you know, I actually got a show on in Canada now. My weekend show, The Tasting Room, is on in Vancouver now.
Oh, I'm calling from Toronto, so I don't know if I'll get that. But
well,
anyway,
fortunately, you can hear us from Buffalo, which is good.
Yes, it is very good, and thank you. Finally, more good radio. But, Tom, I wanted to thank you for acknowledging that women have more rights than men. I've already been the victim of not getting promoted because I'm a male, and there's not a damn thing I could do about it. It drives me crazy. I've seen it twice, and you'll never see it direct, and if you ever went ahead to try and prove it, you'd be the laughingstock of the world.
Well, it's like this nonsense. If you ever see these protests from time to time, women protesting, wanting to be paid a salary to be, homemakers.
Both times, Tom, I was the only male applying to be in the department, and I knew as soon as I walked in I had no chance because of my sex. Friggin' brutal, Tom. Thank you for acknowledging this.
Not a problem at all. I'm really fed up with these women who say that housewives should get a salary. Because, ladies, everything is paid for. Your mortgage payment, your rent, paid for. Your electric bill, paid for. Gas, paid for. Water bill, paid for. Cable TV bill, paid for. Your groceries, paid for. Your children, prenatal care, children, everything, paid for. Everything is paid for Christ's sake. All your clothes, accessories, your car, paid for. If you're a homemaker, everything is paid for. You are not entitled to an additional salary. It's outrageous.
100-500.
The more money you make, the more power you have. The more power you have, the more money you have. The more money you have, the more power you have. The more money and power you have, the more poon you can consume.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Brandy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I just wanted to let you know, my dad, my brother, my friends listen to you, so I'm all for opinions, whatever. My boyfriend is an at-home father. He watches our 2.5-year-old son, and he's wonderful at it, and I don't think of him as a deadbeat at all.
What do you do for a living?
I work at Red Lobster. I'm a server.
You work where?
Red Lobster.
Oh, you work at Red Lobster?
Yes.
Now, may I ask a question for the two of you? Why did you decide to have a kid at 18?
Well, I got pregnant at 17, and then we didn't decide to have him.
Well, somehow he got here.
Like he was a blessing.
Well,
so we decided to take on the responsibility.
But the two of you, have you gone to college?
Well, I'm going to school this month. I start on the 24th.
What college is that?
It's Bryman. It's just a quick 8-month program.
So you're not going to college?
No, I'm not a school person.
Why not?
Because I just like something that's quick that'll get me there faster.
Get you where? What are you going to do?
Medical administrations.
You mean a secretary?
No. It's insurance and HMOs and working on other people's, like how to get their insurance correct so that they can get in and get help.
And how is that different from a secretary?
Well, it's not a secretary position. They just answer phones.
Secretaries type and they file forms.
Yeah, well, it's regular. It's just basic.
I mean, anything you can study in 8 months.
Huh?
Anything you can study in 8 months is that's not an executive position.
If you get a diploma for proficiency, I'm sure it's fine.
There's a big difference. There's a reason people go to college.
I know the reason why people go to college.
What do you think that might be?
To get more of an education.
Right.
But
who needs education?
Huh?
Who needs education? What college did your boyfriend... Yeah, what college did your boyfriend go to?
He didn't.
Why not?
Because.
Because he can't.
No, not well. Yeah, because he can't right now.
No, he can't.
But he's going through programs to finish school next month.
So he doesn't even have a GED yet.
No.
So the two of you just pretty much got knocked up in high school, and then it pretty much ruined your lives.
Not really, no.
Well, there, you're working at the Red Lobster as a server with hopes of becoming a medical secretary, and your boyfriend doesn't even have a job.
But his job is to stay home and watch her son and make sure he's safe, so that he doesn't go to daycare and come home with a snotty-ass nose.
Well, I would understand if your boyfriend was staying home while you were continuing your work as an attorney, a doctor, an architect, something that paid a six-figure salary.
Why do you have to be an attorney or a doctor?
Well, because those jobs pay well and you get a lot of respect.
Who cares about respect? Who cares about what?
Who cares about respect? Who cares about education?
Hey, come on. It doesn't matter what other people think about you.
It sounds to me like you'd be happy at the Red Lobster for the rest of your life.
You'll never see them for the rest of your life.
Sounds to me like you would be happy to be working at the Red Lobster the rest of your life.
Hey, you meet other people, and you have fun serving people. It's helping.
It's helping.
You know what help is?
Helping whom?
Everyone.
By being a server at a restaurant.
Well, yeah.
Now, that's a nice job to have while you're in high school, and I think it's great that there's a place for people in high school to go. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there are people who are lifelong waiters, who are real professionals, who work at upscale restaurants, and they become experts in areas of wine and food pairing and things like that. You're not at either end.
Well, I'm not concierge or anything.
You're just like kind of, And by the way, that job you're studying 8 whole months for, how much does that pay?
It's supposed to pay between $50,000 to $70,000 to start.
Supposed to?
Yes. Mm-hmm. There is a job placement at the end.
And they don't care whether you get a high school diploma or a college degree. They don't even care.
I graduated high school.
You did?
Yes.
How does it feel to have a husband or a boyfriend who didn't even graduate?
I'm very proud of him.
You're proud of him for what?
For being able to take care of our child.
But the point is, he didn't finish high school. You're proud of that?
Doesn't matter if he finished high school.
Doesn't matter. Who needs high school?
You have your whole
Who
life
needs college? Who needs high school? Who needs it?
You have your whole life to catch up on things.
Yeah, but why do that? Why not do that at the appropriate time?
Why not?
Because again,
some people aren't as fortunate to be able to wait until the appropriate time.
This has nothing to do with being fortunate.
So what you're saying?
I mean, I graduated high school a year early, and not because I was fortunate.
What you're saying is that I should have had an abortion?
Well, of course I do, but whether you did or you didn't, of course.
Well, then a blessing wouldn't be born.
Dear, it's not a blessing. If you're working at the Red Lobster and your boyfriend is an uneducated stay-at-home dad because he can't even work at a job.
Yes, but then again, that's because of what you think. And like I said before, everybody is entitled to their own opinions.
Hang on a second here. Hang on. And by the way, most people probably have the same opinion I do. Vince, what do you want to say to Brandy here?
Oh, Tom, great to be on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Brandy, lots of issues here. I have a very, very close old friend of mine's younger brother in the same situation you are, and I've been through the abortion process twice. And
so have I.
You have.
Yes, I had a
do you know what you're doing to the child? It disgusts me about what you're saying. It's not okay. You might be fine with this, but what about your child?
I had a tubular pregnancy and I had to get an abortion.
Well, that's different. You did that for sake of surviving.
Well, yeah, but if it would have been okay, it would have been better.
By the way, tell us. Let's find out what kind of birth control she's been on.
Good point.
When I was pregnant with my son, I was on the pill orthotricycline.
And were you taking it every day?
Huh?
Were you taking it every day?
Yes.
You were?
Yes.
You're just
and for
one
the tubular
fertile
pregnancy,
gal.
I was on the patch, and now I'm on the depot.
And
which
now
I've had no problem with yet so far.
I have a question. What kind of programs are you using to support yourself? You obviously cannot support your boyfriend, a child, and yourself with a Red Lobster salary.
Actually, to tell you the truth, the only government help we get is for him to get his shots when he needs. It's just medical.
What about a home? What about your futures? Trust me, when you're sitting at my age and you get to be 28 and you look back, you are not going to be happy with the decisions you're making right now.
Obviously, you're not happy at the age of 28 with the
I'm very happy. I'm
making.
successful. I'm an accountant. I do well. I have a college degree.
That's
great. Where
are you at?
By the way, what's that annual income over there, Brandy?
It's probably just about $2,000 a month.
$2,000 a month. That's gross, right?
Pretty much. I don't know. I've never really kept count. It all goes to bills.
You don't know how much you make?
It all goes to bills.
Oh, I'm sure it does, dear. You're supporting 3 people on $24,000 a year.
Impossible.
Yeah,
It's called the poverty level.
$22,000 last year.
$22,000. That's poverty level, dear.
Yes, it is.
And you have to be getting some sort of support from family members and other sorts of
Well,
entities.
my family helps. Our family is really supportive, so we're really lucky.
You have to get off.
They probably all got knocked up at 17 also.
Some of them.
I'll bet they did.
Not all of them.
Uh-huh.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Thank you. Some of them, not all of them, huh, Brandy?
Yeah, some of them, not all of them.
Yeah, uh-huh. Like your mom, let me guess, she's like 39?
No,
37? Older? How old is your mom?
She'll be 50.
50?
Yeah.
Your mom waited till 29 to have you.
Yeah. Yeah. She had one other son with her first marriage.
How old was she then?
22.
22. I see. And why were you so anxious to have a kid?
Home.
She bought her own home.
Bought her own home.
Well, she probably had a better job than you had.
Yeah, she sure did.
How did that happen?
And went back to school.
She went back to school.
Mm-hmm.
What did she study?
And my father also went back to school.
What did they study?
I'm not quite sure.
So they were both dropouts, like you and your boyfriend. Oh, you graduated. You were both dropouts like your boyfriend.
No, not dropouts. They didn't drop out of school.
Oh, what do you mean they continued with school?
They continued later.
So they continued from where? Where did they leave off?
Well, my dad went into the military. So after the military, he went back to school, and then now he works for United Airlines.
Uh-huh. Okay. And your mom, where did she leave off?
My mom, she left home when she was like 17.
17. Was she still going to school?
Yes, she was.
So she got her high school diploma?
Well, no, she did not.
Why not?
She had to go back for it.
She had to go back for it. Why was that?
Just because.
Like you, busy spreading her legs in high school. What?
Situations you put yourself into.
Like spreading your legs in high school instead of studying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of the family trait.
No, not really.
Sounds that way. Joe, what did you want to say to Brandy?
That way?
Yeah, listen, the thing about these Bryman schools and all these, like, get-rich-quick schools, have you ever noticed, like, when they're advertising, they're always advertising during, like, Springer and Maury when all these sorry people are at home sitting on their butts trying to find an easy way to get money. And even, like, all these law offices and stuff.
Yeah, but if you look at all those other people, they're sitting on the goddamn bus waiting for their life to turn around and just wanting to start at the top.
God bless you for
nobody
trying
can start
to
at the
improve
top.
life, but I mean,
you got to learn something and start at the bottom to work your way at the top. I know that.
Yeah, learning something in 8 months and trying to turn that into some sort of life career, you're going to be sitting there at 30 and 40 years old.
Trust me, I was very hesitant about it because it's only an 8-month program.
By the way, how much public money are you taking? WIC, food stamps, unemployment, welfare. What are you getting, Brent?
None.
None of it.
It's ours. It's just us.
Just you and your parents.
No.
Well, who else?
Me and my boyfriend and
You cannot survive on that little money, $22,000 a year. You can't.
They would help us.
What's going to happen when the first time, like, your car breaks down and you're not going to have anybody to turn to? You need to buy a new car and you need to get financing. You're not going to have any credit or anything. You're going to be screwed.
You're
screwed out of the gate.
There will
out of the gate.
Be someone to love us.
How much is this Bryman thing going to cost you?
$7,000.
$7,000 to get a little piece of paper that says I can answer a phone and type on a computer. How I can answer a phone and type on a computer?
No, it's not just to answer phone and type on computers. You learn the things that nurses learn. You have to learn the things that nurses learn. Just in case something happens to the nurses, you go in and do whatever.
Sure, so that the work overflow can spill onto you and they can pay you less money. What are you thinking? These people are going to blow smoke up your butt all day long until you sign the paper and give them your $7,000 to give you a little.
Everybody blows smoke up your ass. I mean, what's another person? As long as you're moving up in a hospital, right?
You're moving up.
I mean, come on.
Moving up.
Well, let me tell you this. Valley Medical Center, look at the employees there.
Yeah, but most people moving up at the hospital, you know what their first name is? Doctor.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
That bitch didn't win Miss USA. She should be slapped in the face.
All right, Dad. Boys, you can't say the F word on the radio. It's not my rule. I use the F word every hour of every day, except the hours I'm on the radio. Then I only use it during commercial breaks.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
It's Tom Leykis Show, 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Mark. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Mark.
How's it going?
All right.
Hey, listen, I found the quickest way to shut these yappy feminists up is to look them in the eye and say, you know what? Name me one thing a feminist invented that's changed the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Harry
like
Pitts.
The light bulb, the motor, the transistor, all invented by men.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. For God's sake, you're right. Thank you for that. Our email address is my name. It's Tom@blowmeuptom.com. Tom@blowmeuptom.com. Or if you've got comments about our show, you can call our 24-hour date comment line at 310-842-9592. That's 310-842-9592.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.